To-do lists seem like such an obvious way to do things. Simply list everything that needs to be done and then tick each item off when you've done it. Simple. But for me, and for many other people with executive functioning problems, including those with ADHD, ADD, and autism, it's really not that simple, and I personally have been fighting my to-do list my whole life. It's time for a change. Hi everyone, if you are new to my channel, I am Sam. I was recently diagnosed with autism as an adult, and I now make videos about autism and neurodiversity here on YouTube every single week. If you think you might like that sort of thing, please hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the little bell next to it to make sure that you stay informed about every video that I publish. So why is it that I find to-do lists quite so hard? Well, when you list everything that you have to do, everything, it's an overwhelming amount of stuff to do. It's very linear, there's no real method to it. And it's hard to rearrange and organize visually. Not to mention, each task might be overwhelming in itself with many different subparts. And for me personally, if I schedule them in and then miss them for whatever reason, maybe I'm ill or I'm very tired or I just didn't get around to doing them, I feel kind of like a failure. This doesn't exactly spur me to take further action, but rather to sink into a small ball of depression and self-loathing. Now, I've tried other fancy methods before, including prioritizing in order of how important they are, the so-called quadrant method, where you define each task as important or not important and urgent or not urgent, and you put them in a quadrant. But with all these methods, I found myself getting stuck on actually defining everything, and spent so much time focusing on the category that it went in that it didn't end up helping me. To be honest, I would be stuck there deciding whether getting my duvet cleaned is important or not important, or urgent or not really urgent, or none of them. Is anything actually important anyway? Is everything just meaningless bullshit? So one morning, when I was scrolling through Twitter at 6 AM, I happened to come across a series of tweets about this sort of thing. And actually, it turned out to be pretty revolutionary for me. I read what this person said and struggled with, and I found that I related to all of it. And credit where credit is due, can't remember the name right now, but I will look it up for this person on Twitter who came up with the idea, or who came up with the tweets at least. He was writing about his three-part system, but I did edit it to make it slightly my own. So this is now the Yo Samdy Sam four-part system. I realized in all of these methods that I was focusing on how big or annoying or how sort of painful a task might be to complete, and not actually the nature of the task itself. So, for example, let's say that around the house I had to repot a plant. Gardening is relaxing, gardening is enjoyable, but by putting it on your to-do list, suddenly it's a chore. So that's where I started, is defining tasks that actually you do kind of like, but the fact that they've been on there staring at you has turned them into a chore, which is then, by default, not enjoyable. So the first category is tasks that are inherently relaxing or rewarding to you. For me, this is something like repotting plants. Gardening is nice, gardening is relaxing. I get a sense of satisfaction after I do it. It's a relaxing task, so it goes in the green box. I've had to sew a button on a cardigan for over 9 months now, and because it was on my to-do list, staring at me like, oh, I have to sew a button on, it actually made me forget that I do like sewing and dressmaking. So, sewing on a button has gone in the green box. So just shifting your mindset from these maybe slightly annoying and or fiddly tasks into something that you are reminding yourself, hey, I do like doing this. I do like messing around with plants, and I do like sewing and things like that. It's just about reframing it in a positive way. Gardening is relaxing, sewing is relaxing. These tasks are not bad. Repeat, these tasks are not bad. The second category that we have is something that is useful or helpful to you when it's completed. So for example, a little thingy, don't know the word for it, little thingy on my boots broke. And I was just thinking about what a pain it's going to be to fix, because I have to go find a boot maker or a shoemaker or whatever. A cobbler. I have to find a cobbler, and the little thingy came off, and it was such a little fix that somebody could do in 2 seconds, but I knew that I'd have to pay a lot for it, and it was annoying me. And so this task became more irritating to me in my head than actually the reality, which is that they were my favorite boots and I want to wear them. It would be useful if I had them fixed. It would be helpful. It would be nice for me if I had them fixed. So this is also kind of a slight reframing to see the positive value in doing the task. It will help you in the end. I like my boots. I want to wear them. Shall I get them fixed? Yeah? So once you've redefined the kind of annoying tasks, but you do enjoy the thing, and the also annoying tasks, but they're really going to help you, the remaining tasks don't feel quite so overwhelming. And these are the urgent or the needed tasks. Now, these will often have an externally imposed deadline or have financial or other catastrophic implications if you don't get them done. So you really do need to do them. But hopefully now that you've moved everything else into the other two categories, you can see what really needs to be done. And unfortunately, these tasks tend not to be fun no matter how you reframe them, but they seem a lot less overwhelming when they're not surrounded by all the rest of the mess. And the final bonus category is tasks that I can complete in 5 minutes or less, no matter which previous category they also fit into. If it can be done in a short amount of time, I put it in this box. These should be reasonably straightforward tasks that are unlikely to snowball into other tasks. So sometimes you think that something, oh, I'll just need to log in and check that, and then it turns out you need to go and find this account number, and it turns into this long thing. No, this should be something that you know is quick and easy to do. You just need to get off your bottom and do it. Now, none of these sections are including tasks I do on a weekly basis, like mopping the floor or something like that. I have that in a completely separate system. I print out that on a sheet, and I have another video explaining exactly how I do these weekly tasks if you click up here or down in the description box. That video includes a link to a template that you can print out and stick on your fridge and ignore every time you go to the fridge for some cheese. So what now? We have all of our tasks divided up into these 4 categories. But I understand some of them might still feel overwhelming to you. So what I do is I break them down even further into smaller tasks. And the tasks that are stressing me out tend to be ones that involve quite a lot of different subtasks. So for example, sending cards is really hard for me for some reason. So I even break down things like that because it turns them into really manageable bite-sized chunks. So for example, you need to send a wedding card, someone you know is getting married, and I want to send them a nice card with my well wishes. It sounds so simple, and probably a lot of people might be watching this and going, really? You can't send cards? No, I can't, sorry. But when you actually break it down, sending a card to someone involves quite a lot of little steps. You have to find time to go to the shop, which sells a card, and you have to look around for the card, which can sometimes be difficult. You have to write a card with something that is socially appropriate to say. And this can be hard, especially if you don't know the person that well. You have to look up their address, so you have to think, is it in my address book, or is it saved in my contacts, or where did I last have that address? Then you discover that you are out of stamps, so you have to go to a shop and buy some stamps. Then you have to physically write the address on the card and put the stamp on the card, and then you have to go find a post box to post it. And I don't know if you're anything like me, but I often will have a card that's ready to post in my bag, and every time I go out, I will then forget that I've put it there, and I will forget to post it in the post box. So sending a card is typically just one item on a to-do list, but actually it's overwhelming for me and for a lot of people because it involves all these different sub-steps that require quite a lot of planning and faffing around and organisation. To be honest, I should just do something different with cards. I should just buy a whole load of cards for different occasions, and I've always got one in the house, so that might help. That might be a strategy in the future. So it's no wonder that I hate sending cards. It's a lot of steps, and it's a lot of work for something that is quite small, and perhaps some might think quite trivial. But once I've broken it down, each of these steps can be done on its own. And then I'm a little bit further in the completion of the task rather than staring at the item on my to-do list for months until I feel guilty, and then I decide it's better off not sending a card because now it's really way too late and would just be sort of insulting at this point. So this method doesn't actually dictate how you accomplish tasks and which ones you go for first. That's kind of up to you. It's sort of up to the tasks and what needs to be done in different points. But I kind of like that it's flexible. I struggle to make sense of things when everything's jumbled up in my head or just listed in a linear manner. So getting them down on paper or getting them down visually on a computer screen can be really useful. And colour coding is very important to me as I'm a very visual person as well. 5-minute tasks are actually really motivating to get done. And actually estimating the amount of time that a task would take me to do is something that it's never even occurred to me to do before. Because I was so busy thinking about how fiddly and annoying they would be to carry out that I never actually stopped to think, well, could I just do that in 5 minutes? I like the system because it's flexible, so you can tackle the easier tasks when you're feeling overwhelmed with life, but still need to be a bit productive. And you can focus on the important, urgent, or needed tasks when you've got the mental or physical energy to do so. It doesn't solve all my problems, but it certainly makes the dreaded to-do list a little bit more manageable. What method do you use for your to-do list? And have you ever tried this one or something like this? Please let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please share it, like it, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more content like this. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.